score prediction for tomorrow's games, please. Let's go through this. So, the fixtures tomorrow. Man City against Everton. It depends on the lineup, obviously. I think City obviously have a few injuries, like Grealish and KDB's out with COVID. I think City will score 2 or 3 goals. I will go with 3. And you know what? I'm going to go with 3-0 City. And as for Spurs Leeds, I think that will be... It's a tough one. I think Leeds will score, but I think Spurs will score maybe 2. Yeah, I'll go 2-1 Spurs and 3-0 City. Welcome to another FPL video. This is going to be my team selection ahead of Game Week 13. I have 2 free transfers, another green arrow, only a little bit, but still I'll take it nonetheless. Let's see where we go from here and which players are on my watch list at this moment in time. Everything will be covered here in this very video, so let's get straight into it. In Game Week 12, I got 77 points, which I'm pretty happy with. I've got 803 overall, and my overall rank is around 90,000 in the world. So I'll take that. Just 2 weeks ago, I was 200k, and before that, for most of the season, I was around this same position, 60 to 90k, but haven't really managed to push on yet, and that's what I'm looking to do now. Got 2 free transfers, like I said before, but let's actually talk about my Game Week 12 performance. So Ramsdale in goal, 1 point, and once again, the goalkeeper on my bench does very well. Foster, I mean, let's just break it down this way. He got a penalty save and double-digit return against Arsenal, and then the week after he plays Man United and he gets an assist and only concedes the 1 goal, and he gets 5 points. And of course, Ramsdale facing Liverpool, I'm not too surprised by this, to be honest. At least he got some save points. He was just 1 save off from getting an additional save point, but yeah, he was pretty good against Liverpool. Maybe could have done better for some of the goals, but really he was the only Arsenal player, maybe just 1 or 2 others as well, that could actually hold their heads up high after that performance. And looking at my defence, the best part of my team for sure, and this is why I keep talking about how impressed I am by my defence and why I'm not looking to make any changes in this position. I've got the double up of Reece James and Chilwell. Chilwell could have scored more goals. He had 1 or 2 opportunities, was a bit unlucky, hit the post, forced some good saves out of Schmeichel, and really on another day he could have been on for a 15-pointer at least. Reece James, of course, got the assist and the bonus points, of course. Very good performance from both of them, and I have to say, very happy with the Chelsea double up. Then you look at Diaz, for example, who got benched against Everton. Now, that's not going to happen too often, but the fact that he's already been benched more times when available this season than he was last season up until, let's say, February or March, it does say a lot, and that's why we should just go for those with the higher ceiling. And Reece James, Ben Chilwell, I was wrong about them at certain stages. I wanted the security of Azpilicueta and Diaz, and that can cost you a lot of points. So ultimately, I just go for those lot. I think they just offer such great value. The same with Trent, despite the fact that he's 7.7 million, around that price, and he got 2 assists against Arsenal, the clean sheet, and he had quite a few shots. He forced some good saves out of Ramsdale as well, so very happy with Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's not an absolute must-have, but I think out of those 4 defenders you see on screen, Cancelo, Chilwell, Trent and James, I will try to have at least 2 of them. Having 1 is fine, but having none of them at all, I think you're asking for trouble, to be honest. And the way FPL is this season, I think going 4 at the back is definitely a viable strategy. Cancelo once again getting another assist. It's becoming a competition between all of these 4 in terms of who gets the most attacking returns and points in FPL. But having all 4 of them, I'm telling you, is such a peace of mind. And without them, my week would have been very awful indeed. Livramento got 1 point. I'm not too surprised that he actually ended up blanking when facing Norwich, which everyone was looking at and saying, wow, Livramento could do so well here because he's been doing so well throughout the whole season. But against Norwich, you know, new manager bounce, when you put it that way, it's not that surprising really. But yeah, Norwich looked much better. They scored 2 goals, and Livramento and Southampton weren't at the races in that particular game. And then looking at the midfield, Phil Foden, very disappointing as well, and he only played 58 minutes or so, got substituted off for Mahrez, and just the 1 point. So my midfield is another kind of weakness in my team, I have to say. It's a bit of the opposite of UCL Fantasy, where my midfield and attack look very strong, but it's my defence now that is looking a bit vulnerable. In FPL, my defence is looking very solid, so I wish I could somehow combine the 2 games in that way. Salah captain, got the goal, nothing special, but still solid 8 points, and that's the thing with Salah. He is the most likely to not blank of any player, and that's why he's such a safe captain option. And also, of course, his effective ownership is just unbelievable, really. So it's a bit of a safety net if you captain him, and if you don't captain him, you better hope that your differential pays off as well. And then looking at my attack, Vardy had one big chance he should have scored, but other than that, he was very anonymous, really, and Chelsea could have scored even more goals. They had a few that were disallowed. Ivan Toney finally scored just the 6 points, but I'd rather have that than 2 points, to be honest. So very happy with Ivan Toney there. And Mbeumo scored, and it was an assist for Toney, but it got disallowed yet again. So Toney maybe could have got even more, but a free thriller in the Newcastle-Brentford game. Unfortunately, Toney didn't pick up any more attacking returns, but at least he outperformed Mbeumo, and he did all right. At least he got something. But meanwhile, Antonio, yet another blank. He created a few big chances, or at least he created, I think, 3 chances overall, but overall, in terms of his actual chances, didn't really have anything to do in the game. Not that many shots. It was Jared Bowen getting in on the end of some of the best chances for the Hammers, but very disappointing for Antonio, and I can see why some people, despite the fact that West Ham have some good fixtures in Game Week 16 and 18, I can see why you'd want to sell, even though that's coming up very shortly. And to be honest, I just can't really defend him too much anymore. The same goes for Ivan Toney over the past few weeks, and now Jamie Vardy, who has now blanked 4 times in a row. So I talked about Foster on my bench. Rafinha didn't play at all. He was ill. And of course, I was kind of worried because I benched him for Livramento and Vardy. And in the end, I thought Rafinha would be the highest scoring one. And in the end, I was a bit lucky there. He got 0 points, didn't play at all. So in the end, I kind of made the right choice, I guess. Townsend outscored Livramento by 1 point, but really, we're talking peanuts here. They're not really worth much, these amount of points. But maybe every single point counts. You could see it that way. But yeah, overall, my defense is very strong. My goalkeepers I'm fine with. My midfield and attack, I think, need a little bit of work. So let's see how we're lined up ahead of Game Week 13. In terms of the fixtures, it's looking much better for some of my players. So Ramsdale is at home to Newcastle this time, which is much better. And even Foster away to Leicester, not the worst fixture in the world, I guess. But still, you'd expect Leicester to score a few goals there. So Ramsdale will be in goal for me. That's a simple decision. But I wouldn't be surprised if Foster saves another penalty or something ridiculous happens once again with my goalkeepers. But with my defence, double Chelsea against Man United now. With Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being sacked, if they can get a good replacement in line for that game, then maybe I'd be a bit concerned about the Chelsea double up. But to be honest, I'm not really thinking about benching either one of them. And the same goes for Cancelo or Trent, no matter what the kind of fixtures are, because they are fixture proof. They offer so much attacking potential, and watching any of those teams without those assets is just very painful, to be honest, and they're just so good at the moment. They're 3 of the best teams in the league, and of course defensively the same can be said, so I'm not going to be benching any one of them. Trent at home to Southampton, that's a pretty decent fixture, and Cancelo at home to West Ham, that's a bit tough, to be fair, but still, I'm not going to be benching any one of them, although the fixtures for my defence maybe look a bit weaker than they did last time round. And then with my midfield, I've got Rafinha away to Brighton, but is he going to be actually available this time out? Let's wait and see, and that could play a big part in my final decision making in terms of my transfers, but let's wait and see. I wouldn't mind keeping Rafinha up until Game Week 16, and that's when I would get rid. And to be honest, Leeds looked decent yesterday against Spurs, but of course they did miss Rodrigo, Bamford and Rafinha. They all make such a big difference to their attack, and I think they actually could have got more out of that game with those players available. Foden at home to West Ham, not the best fixture, but then again, West Ham aren't great defensively, and Foden, he's been very disappointing. It looks like Bernardo Silva's the one who is getting all the plaudits because he's getting those goals and points, and that's now 4 attacking returns in the last 5 games for the Portuguese international, so maybe he is the one that people are going to be switching Foden to and saving that extra bit of money to invest elsewhere. I might consider that myself, to be honest. And then Mohamed Salah, is he going to be my captain? Probably. But if I do keep Vardy, I'd be tempted to put the armband on him. I think both of them could be 2 of the best options this week on paper. Then again, though, we always say this about Vardy, he's been blanking a lot. Also Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, and they have also blanked 4 times in a row. So it's not that easy, to be honest, if you exclude Salah from the equation. But right now we have him, and I think I don't want to overcomplicate that. So Salah at home to Southampton as the captain sounds pretty fine to me, to be honest. Antonio away to Man City. Now, if I don't make any transfers, but to be honest, I probably wouldn't want to do that. But let's say if I did, you could argue that I should play Townsend away to Brentford over Antonio, and that's something I would consider. But in the end, I think if I do make a transfer or 2, one of those players could come in for Mikel Antonio. Vardy at home, like I said, he would be a very tempting captaincy option, but for now he is my vice. He could actually make way too. Same with Mikel Antonio and Rafinha. They're all on the chopping block. You could even say Ivan Toney and Foden and Townsend, of course, who is kind of the weak link of this team, you have to say. Toney at home to Everton isn't a bad fixture. I wouldn't mind keeping him for that. And would I move Toney to another budget striker? Probably not, because I'm not confident in any of those options at the moment. Hwang played on the left wing in the last game. He was way too wide out for me to really be interested in him as an option. And besides, from Game Week 14 onwards, Wolves have poor fixtures. Armstrong has a bit of mixed fortunes from now on, and also Broca could easily come back into the side. And with Southampton, they're not very consistent offensively. So I look across the board with the kind of budget strikers, and I'm not really impressed by any one of them. So the only viable alternative to Toney really is downgrading him to a 4.5 million bench fodder option, and then upgrading my midfield, maybe Douglas Luiz to a Diego Jota or Bernardo Silva, for example. I'm also happy to be benching Livramento and Douglas Luiz, who is still out. But ultimately, I'm pretty happy with this team. It's looking pretty decent without the transfers. So now let's actually talk about some of the possibilities and the changes that could actually improve my team in future weeks. So the first possibility is making 2 free transfers, and I talked about this heading into Game Week 12, is actually getting rid of Jamie Vardy and Rafinha for Callum Wilson and Heung-min Son. Once again, both of those players disappointing in Game Week 12, but still showed some signs of having the potential to score points. Son had a very good chance, hit the crossbar. Then you look at Callum Wilson, he had several chances, including one that actually got cleared by Ivan Toney. So both of them great options, I still believe, especially over the next 4 for Callum Wilson. Beyond that, I'd be looking to sell, but he's kind of a short-term purchase up front, and it enables me to get Heung-min Son. And to be honest, I still have faith in Son and Harry Kane, but obviously it's very difficult to back them when they're so expensive and they just continue to blank, especially in the case of Harry Kane, who, to be honest, a lot of Spurs fans are even turning in on him, and you can't really blame them, to be honest. So that is one possibility with 2 free transfers, using both of them and getting rid of Rafinha and Jamie Vardy for these 2, but that could easily backfire with Rafinha being fit and doing well against Brighton, and also Jamie Vardy at home to Watford. That's a very good fixture. And over the next 4, Leicester have, I think, the best fixtures if you look at the fixture ticker for Fantasy Football Hub and also from the official Premier League website. So another possibility would be actually keeping Jamie Vardy and making moves elsewhere. I don't want to burn those transfers. I want to at least use one of them, to be honest, but then again, it's not the end of the world if you do burn one. Sometimes if you're not in a position where you have to make a transfer, then what is the point of actually making it just for the sake of making transfers, to be honest? But that is one possibility, and I'll be showing you a few more alternatives here as well. Now, by getting Son and Wilson, I would have 0.1 million remaining. However, if I decide to get Bernardo Silva in for Phil Foden and Harry Kane for Jamie Vardy, I would have nothing left in the bank. So it's a bit of a tight one, and I am tempted by both options. A lot will depend on Rafinha's fitness, and I'm also not too keen on keeping Townsend even longer, to be honest. And of course, Phil Foden I still think is a very good asset, and I still maintain I think he is a better option than Bernardo Silva, but in recent weeks I've been proven wrong, and both of them are looking very good, but Bernardo Silva is getting the points, and that's the important thing, of course, and I wouldn't mind doing that like-for-like swap. Bernardo Silva's nailed. He's pretty much played 90 minutes in every single game that he's been available in, and he is so important to Manchester City, and even if you can class his goals as lucky, he's getting the goals and points nonetheless. Harry Kane, however, isn't getting the points, isn't getting the goals, only on international duty, but he did look lively, at least in the recent weeks. He's getting more chances, more shots off, but still nowhere near the quality that we come to expect from Harry Kane. So it's a difficult one to kind of justify moving from Jamie Vardy to Harry Kane. Both off form, but at least Jamie Vardy is significantly cheaper, and he has shown more this season. So to be honest, any one of these transfers that I make, they have pros and cons for them, but ultimately I just want to kind of simplify my transfer plans. I'm not going to make any goalkeeper transfers. I look at my defence, I'm very happy with it in the long term. To be honest, I could keep it up until the end of the season if they all stay fit. As for my midfield, there's quite a lot of problems. Rafinha's ill. You have Townsend, who is a bit of an issue. Foden, maybe I could actually find better value elsewhere. Douglas Luiz, of course, I could then move on, maybe upgrade him to someone else like a Gallagher or a Jota, and maybe downgrade one of my strikers. But ultimately, my midfield and attack is looking a bit weak at the moment. I don't mind having that front three of Toney, Antonio and Vardy for the next few game weeks, but long term I know I have to make some changes there, and to be honest, all of them are pretty much off form. form, especially Vardy and Antonio. So some changes need to be made. Let me know what you would do down in the comment section below. Which transfers do you think are best? And if you have any other alternatives, then also leave them down in the comment section below. I've still got my eye on Cornet, on Gallagher, and a few others like Diego Jota if he's fit. But of course, let's wait and see what injury news we get over the coming week before the Game Week 13 deadline. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. Very much appreciate all your feedback. Good luck with Game Week 13 in FPL. And once again, I have the whole week. Obviously, we do have some Champions League as well. That could also influence my transfer plans as well. But I've got the whole week to think about this and finalize and come to a decision. But if you haven't already, check out my UCL fantasy content and also all of the other upcoming FPL stuff that we have going on. Enjoy the football. Good luck once again, and I'll see you next time.